The grand chamber of the interstellar Concord shimmered with light and tension. Delegates from dozens of worlds filled the tiers, their voices a chorus of cautious diplomacy. Flags of peace fluttered above the dais, symbols of hope after decades of war. Yet beneath the calm surface lay years of bitterness, betrayal, and blood. Humanity had come far since the Cerinthian conflict, but trust was a fragile thing, especially here, on Valera Prime, homeworld of the once feared Velar Dominion. Captain Elias Wren stood at the edge of the human delegation. His uniform was simple, his medals tucked away. He had no desire for recognition. Not after everything he had seen. He was only here because history had demanded it. At the center of the hall stood Princess Ceres of Valera, the heir to the throne and the youngest voice of her kind in a century. Rumor said she was nothing like her ancestors, born during the war's final years, raised among ruins and stories of peace. When she entered the hall, even the air seemed to still. Her silver hair caught the light like liquid starlight, and her golden eyes carried the same luminous fire Elias remembered from another lifetime. He felt his chest tighten. He hadn't seen eyes like those since Cerinthia Prime, since Commander Lysera. The Velar princess approached the dais. "Honored delegates," she began, her voice calm yet commanding. "Today marks 10 years since the war that nearly erased both our peoples. But peace, fragile as it may be, endures because of sacrifice, some remembered, some forgotten." Her gaze swept across the chamber and, for the briefest moment, found him. Elias stiffened. He didn't expect her to recognize him. How could she? The last time he'd seen her, she'd been a frightened child hidden beneath the rubble of a collapsing palace, clutching a broken locket. He'd been a soldier then, sent to secure Valeran civilians before the orbital bombardment. He found her barely breathing, her guardian slain beside her. Against orders, he had carried her through the burning corridors, shielded her from falling debris, and handed her to the evacuation craft that flew her to safety. He never learned what became of her. Until now. Princess Ceres raised her hand. "Before this assembly continues, I must fulfill an oath made long ago." A murmur rippled through the chamber. She turned toward the human delegation. "Captain Elias Wren of the Terran Expeditionary Corps, please step forward." Every eye turned to him. The hall fell silent. Elias hesitated, uncertain, then walked toward the dais. His boots echoed against the polished floor. He stopped a few steps away, bowing slightly. "Your Highness." Her expression softened. "Do you remember Cerinthia Prime?" His throat tightened. "I remember too much of it. You saved me," she said simply. "A frightened child of your enemy. You carried me through fire when your orders were to retreat. My people call you the ghost of the burning palace." Elias blinked. He had heard the name whispered once in intercepted transmissions, never realizing it referred to him. Ceres continued, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "When I returned home, my elders told me to forget. They said gratitude toward a human was weakness. But I could not. I swore an oath before the shrine of the first flame, that when peace returned, I would find you." She stepped closer. "And I would speak before all species to repay that debt." The Valeran counselors stirred uneasily. One of them, a tall, crimson-armored elder, rose sharply. "Your Highness, such matters are not for this forum." But Ceres ignored him. "I must." She turned back to Elias. "You once carried me from the ruins of war. Now I carry something greater, the future of two species that must no longer fear each other." Then, in one graceful motion, she knelt. The hall gasped. The heir of Valera, the same race that once enslaved worlds, was kneeling before a human soldier. "Princess," her advisors cried, horrified. But Saris lifted her chin. Captain Elias Ryn saved my life when he had no reason to. Today, before the eyes of every world, I bind the royal vow of the seventh flame to him and his kind. From this day forward, no blade of Valera shall rise against humanity while I draw breath. Her words struck the hall like thunder. The flame sigil of her people flared upon her hand, golden and alive, sealing her vow in radiant fire. The energy rippled outward, visible to all, a binding promise recognized by every Valeran alive. Elias stepped back, stunned. Princess, you don't need to do this. Her gaze met his. You once risked everything for me. Let me do the same for others. The Valeran elder slammed his staff. You dishonor the Dominion. Saris rose, her eyes blazing. The Dominion died the moment it forgot mercy. A hush fell again. Even the humans watched in awe. Elias spoke softly. If you do this, your council will never forgive you. She smiled faintly. Then I'll build a new council. The flame mark still burned upon her hand, and something within Elias stirred, a familiar warmth. For an instant, he thought he saw Lysera's spirit, the fallen commander whose blade he once carried, standing beside Saris with a proud, knowing smile. Perhaps this was the legacy she had meant all along, the continuation of the vow to protect life, even the life of an enemy. Saris turned to the assembly. Let it be written in the Concord's record that Valera's heir stands with humanity, not against it. The chamber erupted, some shouting in fury, others in applause. Yet amid the chaos, Elias could only stare at her, unable to find words. Later, when the session ended and the delegations dispersed, Saris approached him privately in the garden halls that overlooked the twin moons. I never forgot your face, she said, or your voice when you told me to keep running. I didn't think you'd remember me, Elias replied. How could I not? You became my first memory of mercy. She paused, looking up at the stars. My vow, it wasn't just symbolic. The flame recognized you once before, didn't it? Elias hesitated, then slowly unwrapped the glove from his right hand. The faint golden mark, the sigil Lysera had left him, still glowed beneath the skin. Saris exhaled softly. So it's true. The flame passed through her, to you, and now to me. Maybe it was always meant to, he said quietly. A promise that doesn't die. For a while, they stood in silence, listening to the wind. At last, Saris spoke again. Tomorrow the press will twist what I did today. They'll call me naive, reckless. But perhaps peace must begin with a reckless act of faith. Elias nodded slowly. You remind me of someone who believed the same thing. Saris smiled, a glimmer of sadness in her eyes. Then maybe her vow still lives in both of us. As the night deepened, the lights of the city shimmered below, and for the first time in years, Elias felt something he hadn't known since the war ended: hope. He looked at the princess beside him, her hand glowing faintly with the same mark as his. Two worlds, once enemies, now bound by a single vow. And somewhere, far beyond the stars, the flame burned brighter than ever.